Hi, hey guys, back with you here to finish up here. So late start here because of the FX webinar that we did amongst members. So here I've got by request is ONT, Ontology versus the dollar tether on Binance. Interesting project. It's definitely worth doing a little due diligence on this. As you guys know, I like this site over here, the coin checkup. So if I put ONT in here, go over to it. So it's a good place to go check for, well, one, where's the volume trading? What is this all about? What's their purpose? All right, there's analysis. You look, we can get to the charts here. I like to look at the overview here and start here. So how are we looking on the algo scoring here? It's not great. You know, it's a comer. Strong buy though. Interestingly, short term. Strong buy, and there's some news on this. Very, very worthwhile project here to go do a little digging so you understand the project. Pretty interesting story. Well, let's go back to the chart here. Now this, not so pretty, all right, but like all the alts. But, you know, it really just kind of a, can you get a complete count here? Well, I noticed this 5 wave coming down into the low here does seem to be a reasonable count. So A, B, C, you know, I don't know here that it really matters. Here I have a low. So can I come off of that low and get something put together here that makes sense? Well, it's not. It's kind of unusual here. So we've had some volatility that kind of blew up the idea that we had an impulse. So it has to be reworked with this, if this is correctly identified. The depth of this retracement means either we completed something down here, we've got an ABC because of the depth of it. So that you might be thinking, oh, well, that'd be 1, 2. But I think the subdivision is a little tricky down here, so it doesn't play well here. It's very hard to get an impulse out of this because you'd have a very shaky 3, 4. So the subdivision actually plays a bit better as a leading diagonal. So if that's the case, then I've got to go ABC into the 1, ABC into the 2, ABC into my 3. Here's the 4, right to the Vegas wave. Interestingly, and it's not to the tick perfect, but in a diagonal, we're always looking. Start of the 1 through the pivot of the 3, we're looking for some, a 50 is ideal, right? But the 50, that would have kept you as a potential impulse, although the subdivision here was already a little dicey. So coming down here to tag the Vegas wave between the 50 and the 618, it's not crazy. It's deep, but a little shy on the algo target. So what's happening here? Do we have this? Likely there's a little algo play in here. So there it is. So you can, it's, I can show them to you all day. It's always there, right? So here's swing up, here golden zone to the tick, first target, right? So these guys, they take profit, get a little reaction, and still going here. So how else would you trade that? So looks like A, B, C completes the diagonal. Looks like that's going to be kind of steep for median lines here, but let's just give it a check. Oh, look at that. It's not bad. Okay, so let's tag that on there. So we have there the infamous golden corner pocket. All right, so here's your golden corner. Well, boy, it doesn't quite make it there, interestingly. So it's not until we get to this pivot do we get our 80% realized, right? It's just, yeah, I can show them to you over and over and over again, but you got to act on it, right? So that's just absolutely textbook perfect. Up we go. So what potentially now we've got a technical pivot here as it's gone far enough to get that median line. Doesn't mean it has to stop there, but given the retrace, it's not a terrible count. So I've got a contender here for a leading diagonal. Well, if that's all done, then I've got a candidate for a 1 wave here. Let's get that 2, 3, 4, 5, just because I got to put them somewhere. So this, now we don't know for sure that high is in here, but it wouldn't be crazy, right? And considering how technical that was. So if we've got this correctly labeled here, there's a reasonable case for this to be having completed the leading diagonal into the 1. So we'd just be kind of patiently waiting for something along these lines to bring us down and get teed up for the 3. So I like that. So from the absolute low to our pivot, and again, can't lock in on this pivot just yet. We haven't, until we get something to come off of here and then retrace to challenge it. That's what sets up the BC. It's hard to lean into too hard that the pivot is in here, although with that tag in the median line, it wouldn't surprise me at all. So 1, you wait for the 2, right? So we've got a little structure here, some structure here. So these are things that can come back into play. So there's a nice fat little low volume here. So you've got a nice looking setup. Now, I wouldn't be a buyer up here, and I wouldn't necessarily be, just because we've completed, I wouldn't consider that a sell signal. I'd be just patiently waiting for this to come back down into my prime zone where I'm looking for it. So somewhere down here, anticipating. So look at the potential there. If we set this up, and if we do have a good low here, remains to be seen, but I've got a candidate here for it, and this is my 1-2. Well, I've got some upside targets here that are pretty juicy. So if I'm going to go up here, if I'm going to get a true third out of this, so if this is a 1, which is reasonable, right? So just teeing this up, let's see if we can get something put together here. So I'm just going to use the wave 1 pivot. So it would be the approximation if you started with a first part of your trade, if you split it in half at the 50 and then the other half at the golden zone. So if we're going to get a true third here, let's open this up a little bit so we can see it better. I'd keep my stop underneath that pivot here of the B, as it lines up so nicely with the 65. So there's 13 to 1. How do you not like that? So if we're done here, since this is already completed, all right, so we've got this, oh, pardon me, I used the other one. So since that's done, well, let's put the bigger one on there and see how we like this. If the 2 is going to stay in play, well, let's think about where that would put us. So if we're going to come down here and we're going to get this ABC, we're going to have to go to these lower parallels. And then you're going to have some, now if we're using that set of median lines. Now, what I probably would do there is wait and redraw. Since this one realized to the tick, I'd wait for this. And I'd pull it from the 2. So if we're going to go here, I'd be looking for something like that. Just so I don't run out of the time factor here. That I might look at that too, but from this pivot here, there's a couple of different ways we could draw it. This wouldn't make as much sense because you'd have a double bottom here, so I'd want to use the lower pivot here. So potentially coming down for a corner pocket with all of this potential here, this is the trade you're after, right? To get something like that. That's what you're after. Get after this upper parallel. If we're going to get a true third, that would make sense. So I like it, but right now, I don't think there's anything to do here now, but wait patiently, and I'd have alerts here as we come down. Maybe first alert at the 35 just to see what that looks like. So if we're going to come down, it's not uncommon as well to have the A wave come to the 38. We do something like that and then look for that. Wouldn't surprise me at all, but I certainly wouldn't be selling it here. And if we get something like that, I sure would be teed up looking to be a buyer down here, but you're going to have to wait patiently for that to happen, right? So maybe it doesn't happen. This could certainly keep going, but at some point we're going to get a retracement that'll be technical. Algos will be sitting there waiting to support it. So we'll wait and see, but right now I'd hurry up and wait. Have your alerts on. Right? That way you don't have to keep coming back to it. All right, that's pretty much all I can add there. But nice looking setup. Just patience, right, guys? Patience is your friend. All right, guys, that'll probably do it for today.